And thank you all of you who have logged in today to make AAC available to everybody. And always when I meet people and who want to learn about AAC or want to understand about AAC, I only think about so many more people are going to understand about this wonderful mode of communication, and so many people are going to be in the society and help a person who is having speech difficulty to communicate. So with that, that was I agreed for with to Lalita that I will be taking the session. I tried to keep it a little technical and a little, understanding for the parents. So it's a balance between parent and the professional. I have tried because I truly think as a parent, when I am empowered because of the technical knowledge I have got it, I think any parent can understand and help the child to become a good communicator. So with that, I will start. I will share screen my PowerPoint, and please let me know if you have any doubts. You can stop me, or you can tell Lalita, and she will be able to let me know that if I need to stop. Okay, I just wanted to start with a little bit about communication so that all of us are on the same platform. I know I went through your questions and what you wanted to learn from this webinar. So a lot of people have asked about what is communication, or some people have asked about how taking it forward. Some people have asked about using Avas. So, but this 1 hour of session, I'm going to keep it only around what is AAC, what is communication, what is AAC, and how can we take our child a little forward. Lalita, please keep checking the chat and letting me know if I had to stop anywhere. So keep starting off with, yes, we communicate all the time, and communication is the big umbrella under which language, speech, everything falls into that. And communication is always a two-way process. One thing everybody has to understand is don't say I'm able to communicate, or my child or my student is able to communicate, if they are just only responding. If we are asking questions and they're responding, I don't think that is communication. Communication is having a conversation, is having an equal partnership. When I'm saying partnership, I'm not saying that both of us have to be at the same level of language or something, but it is a co-partnership where each one is giving something to a conversation. That is called a communication. So all of us communicate for our personal choices, for doing, to participate in any desired activity, to interact with others, or to influence and control people or the environment. This is where we communicate, and it's a 24/7 process. So one thing is, there are many people who think I can take him for a communication session, or can take my child to a speech session. That doesn't. Communication is 24/7. So I think as a family, we need to get better with all the knowledge and make the child communicate through the day. That's why I said 24/7. So when I say communication partner, if you're looking at a child or an AAC user, the first circle, remember, all of us are social animals and everybody wants to communicate. Irrespective, there is nothing like, okay, my child has to have this much of cognition, or my student has to have a cognitive ability to understand or use an AAC or to communicate. That's all myth. Every person can communicate at different levels. So in that process, if the AAC user is at the center, the first circle is the family. And that is the most important circle which the child starts communicating right from the birth. So it could be different modes. At birth, it could be a cry and then asking for things, and then slowly moving to a more formal communication. But it's a family where the pillars are set, and the family plays a most crucial role in making sure what is the input we are giving to the child, whether it could be, talking to the child, the language development, whatever we are doing to the child. And at the same time, encouraging the child to communicate. So the first circle will be the family. The second circle of communication partners are the friends, age appropriate, whether it is a 2-year-old kid or it is a 70-year-old man, it doesn't matter. The friends, the peers are the second group. The third communication partner, which we usually think is the acquaintances, where you meet them casually or your paid helpers who are there. All these form the third circle, and the last one is the unfamiliar or the strangers whom we meet on a daily basis. Or, wherever we go, we meet. These are the communication partners. So everywhere, yeah, any of us, all of us will fall into this four circle. I might be an unfamiliar person to one of your kids, but you are the family. So everybody, the entire treatment chain will fall into these four circles, and that's how we could be a communication partner. And I'll be taking you through the other slides, which will tell us how to become a better communication partner to make sure a person is able to communicate better. So technically, I thought a little bit of technical knowledge any parent should have to understand. Because always as a parent, will think I'm doing my best to my child, or as a professional, will think I'm doing the, technically the best. But both the professional and the parent has to be together to work as, to create the best opportunities and the best environment where a person will be able to communicate. So these are the four pillars which I truly realize are very important for a good communication. Communication method, it could be the mode of communication and how do we start and what are the competencies. A little bit of communication opportunity. You might have the best mode, but if you don't have an opportunity to communicate, if you are just put in one corner with your method, whom are you going to communicate? So opportunity is as much, important. And then communication demands. The society around us creates a lot of demands on us to communicate. So how are we matching to that demand, and how are we empowering ourselves? When I'm saying ourselves, I'm including a parent, a professional, and also the AAC user. To how are they able to match? What is it that we need to do? How am I going to help my student or my child to face these demands and match to the demands? And the last but not the least is the communication support. It will be the policies, the attitude, and what is a skill I need as a communication partner to make sure a person who is using an AAC will be able to communicate. So these are the four areas. Please stop me at any time if you feel there is anything. You can put it in your chat or raise the hand, and Lalita can let me know. Now, when I'm starting about communication methods, it is very important. There are different types of communication methods in this augmentative and alternative communication. But how do I select the method which is useful for my student or for my child? That is a very crucial thing, because that is where you match the child's level with a communication system. Only then you go steps further. So ultimately what we use is a total communication. Even when I'm speaking verbally, I'm using a PowerPoint, and also I'm using my body language, my gestures, to make sure that people understand. It's the same way. Anything you are using it together. None of us talk with our folded hands. We talk with our own, using whatever we are very comfortable with and the way we want to emphasize and create something. So gestures, vocalization, body language, signing or a symbol, or using a photograph or an object of reference, or any of your electronic aids. All of them totally, any person, any child or anybody, all of us use the same thing. We don't use one particular thing. We use a combination of things. So please encourage total communication for the child. Do not say you are using one thing, don't use only that. That doesn't happen at all. Because a child or a person who is using an AS 24/7, there will be different situations in with different people, and the person is communicating with so many different, with the communication partners, and different situation, different needs. So a total communication is something which we should always look at. Now, a little bit of technical thing about how do I know what level is my child is something which many parents ask me when they come. How do I know? I'm giving, a picture chart. Is my child understanding? Or I'm giving a voice output device. Is my child not? My child is not performing. So we need to understand there is a developmentally something is happening, and we need to know. We don't need to know as a parent, as a professional. Yes, you need to know every detail about how do you do an assessment and to pitch. But as a parent, a few things you need to keep in mind to understand and also judge for yourself where is your child. The child moves from different levels of communication and progresses so that there is, from an emergent to an independent communicator. Initially, when the child starts using a very concrete symbolic communication, I'm not going to go further down into, as a professionals, many of you will know there are many things which the child has to achieve before coming to a concrete symbolic level. But basically, a young child, will be starting to use things around the house, using an object to say, maybe a cup to say for asking for milk, or a glass, using a milk bottle to ask for milk. So there are things where the child starts using many things, concrete things which are around him. It could be an object, maybe a spoon to say it is lunchtime, or pat, you throw a ball to say that I want to play with a ball, or tap on the chair to say I want to sit there. Or many of our children will say when the father has a bike or a car, we say that they will go. So these are things which are very concrete. They have an obvious relationship with what they are representing. A child progresses from there next to an abstract level. Abstract levels are when the child is able to talk about some things which are not there in the immediate environment. It could be they can talk about things that the father has gone to office, or there is a friend in the school, that level, or about a neighbor or something, the ball has gone. At this level, the child will start using, speech is an abstract thing, signing is an abstract, or using pictures which are not really representing what it is. These are the abstract symbols. After that, only the child picks up a formal symbolic communication. That is where the formal language, that is, there's a sentence starting, sentence in the middle, and the sentence at the end. The structure, the grammatical structure comes in only that. So there is, this is very important to know where is my child, whether the child is at a concrete level or at an abstract level or at a formal level, because accordingly only you can pitch the child and match the communication system for the child. So that is why you need to know if the child is at a concrete level. We go to objects, or we go to tangible symbols. I've put a picture there for you to understand, the levels of communication. There could be a tangible symbol, that may be a part of the thing where the child can tactile, can understand and touch and feel. Objects are your regular objects which can do, or a regular gesture like say bye or asking. Immediately there is a connection between the symbol and what it is representing. Or use voice output communication aids. But remember, when you do that, stick on that any of these objects or anything, because there it is more an auditory thing which the child is hearing. But then when if a child is at a concrete level, put only these objects, your tangible symbols, your gestures, and your voice output communication aids. Now, if the child is at an abstract level, you can start using picture symbols, sight words, your signing can happen. Of course, your voice output device can happen, and speech generating devices can also be used at the abstract level, because the child has moved. The child understands many things, and it is not a concrete thing that the child is able to understand things which are not present and making a meaning of the representative symbol. Now, when you're going into the formal symbols, there you need to use words or alphabets or word prediction things. Those are the things which we'll use when the child is at a formal symbol. Now, immediately you need to also know about the physical access. Yeah, all these are there, but how is my child going to act? Whether they can do it with a hand or a finger pointing. Some when there is a highly restricted, the physical movement, they might be using an eye pointing or something like a head pointer they can use. To going advanced, if you are using a speech generating device, then you can use an on-screen keyboard, which can be put on a scanning mode. I'm not going into a lot of details here because it's very, very technical, but these are the different types of mode. A switch is something which is an adapted mouse sort of a thing, which will be used by people who have high restriction in physical restrictions. There is an advanced level right now where you can, your camera, your laptop camera or your system camera can catch your eye gaze, and that can be used to access that, to point to, a selected thing that can be. Now, we also have to remember if there is the child has a visual vision issue or a vision impairment, it could be low vision to any things there. Look at how the symbols are being presented. It has to be very clear. There should be reduce the clutter. Don't have too many things on the screen or on your communication chart, and have a good high contrast so that it's easier for the child to look at. So just keep these things in mind when you are presenting any system to your child, whether you are a parent or you're a professional. Of course, a professional will know all these things and they will go into a detailed thing. But as a parent, we need to look at a little bit of technical thing. How is it? Where is my child? How is the child going to access? Is my child having any vision issues? How has it been? Am I putting too many things or too less things? These are the things mainly we need to look. So cognitively, how it is, it should not be too much that the child struggles. It should be at the same level of the child's level. Physically, how are they able to say your seating, your position, your hand pointing, all that you need to look, and visually how it is. So these three main areas, if you keep, it becomes easier for us to go. Now, after doing an assessment, or your team would say, or you will also know, yeah, my child is just now starting to communicate, is starting to use a little bit of symbolic communication, maybe using a few symbols. It could be concrete symbols, and it's starting to do that. Then we call the child as an emerging communicator. Slowly, when the child moves a little bit more, even in the using a symbol, a concrete symbol also, the child can be at a context dependent communicator. Slowly, he might be using only concrete symbols, but the language, the vocabulary, the number of interactions might be more. Now, context dependent is the child or the person will be able to communicate in a given context. So say, for example, you're talking about a park. Yes, in whatever is happening in the park, or you're making something at home, or a birthday party you're discussing. Yes, because there is a limited vocabulary and the person is able to do that. That is the stage when we call the child is at a context-dependent communicator. But when a child moves, that means the child is able to communicate to everybody and anything about anything, then you do as an independent communicator. A process is from the emerging, they go to context, and then they go to independent. It is not even a person who is using a concrete symbolic communication, that is using concrete objects or a tangible symbols, can become independent, or anyone who's using abstract also can do, but they move from here. So you need to understand whether they've just started, then it is an emerging communicator. Where they've moved a little bit to a little level, then you call them as a context dependent, and from there going to independent. Why this is very important is many times there are parents, when we do an assessment, they will be jumping the levels. They will be, a child has just started and they are trying to, demanding the child become independently communicating on anything. That doesn't happen. You need to go step by step. Only then actually you will be giving a best opportunity for the child to do. So keep this in mind. And now the one question which we get is, how do I introduce? Now we have selected a communication device or a method, and also we know my child is at a starting to emerging communicator, or at a context or a context dependent. But how do I introduce an AAC is one more question many people will keep asking. So I just thought I can do this a little bit, because what we have done previously, many years I've been in the, I mean, as a parent have done and as a professional have done. What we have seen is we have done certain things without knowing, and then we have figured out, oh, this was very good, and this motor pattern is happening. But then I came across this, the LAMP technique, which was developed by Johan Halloran and Cindy Halloran, and it's a really very good thing because it's actually giving a structure to our thoughts. In the AAC context, if you see any language, communication is, a lot of language connections is communication. So how does it happen? You need a joint engagement, that is two people are needed. You need a little bit of, consistent motor pattern to point to a thing which is there on your communication system. There is an auditory signal, that is when you are doing, someone is, giving the, either expanding or giving whatever we have touched, that is auditory signal. A natural consequence, I ask for something and I'm getting something, and a readiness to learn. When do you start? So going more into detail, I would start with that. Let me start with the readiness to learn. When do you introduce something? You need to introduce something when the child is ready to learn, not, when they're oversensitive or when they are, in a bad mood or they're cranky or whatever. They start. That is why timing is very crucial. Start. It is, it's not a part of the day or anything like that. Start when your child is very calm. When the child is ready to learn something, you start with your AAC, because you need to find a positive, experience, and the child also has to have. So both of us, as a mother and the child, or as a professional and the child, both need to have a success. The start, the timing is very crucial. Start when the child is calm, start when the child is, eager to learn, and start with something match with the skill level. That is why I told about the 3 levels of communication. Start wherever. If your child is at a concrete level, start with a concrete level. Don't go to the next level and start. So match any activity with the skill level and start. Now, joint engagement. Joint engagement is nothing but we are equally participating. So start with whatever the child is interested in. Don't start with what we are interested. Maybe a toy, maybe a storybook, maybe cooking, maybe a sandplay, whatever the person is interested in. Start with that interest. Then only you will see the success, because the child is learning something to use. Remember, we are in a verbal world. We all keep saying only verbally things, talking verbally, but the child has to start using some other different mode of communication rather than speaking. So you start with something which the child will start using interest, and start with that. Start with something, an activity which will create a curiosity with the child, and that would be the best thing. Pick on the lead of the child. That is, when we are talking, when we are doing, or when you are playing with something with the child, there will be things with the child is showing interest in something else. Pick on that lead and take it into that direction. Don't stick to that, okay, I have planned my session to teach the child this or to talk about this, but the child is doing something, this doesn't happen. You have to go along with the child's lead. Whatever the child is moving, remember, the child might be moving from one to another. Make sure you follow the lead of the child. Wherever the child is taking you, take it. Whatever the child is showing or showing interest into something, do that. Because here we are looking at communicating, and to get the child to use an AAC, it is always easier to go with the child's lead. Manipulate carefully. When I say manipulate, we need to, tweak everything a little bit so that the child has to point to something and tell us. Even though instinctively we adults, we understand what is a child trying, communicate, we would just say, I don't understand. Maybe you just feign that you don't understand, so that the child will be able to point to the AAC and do. But be very careful. Do not when you're taking the lead and it's a child's interest, and when you're starting the AAC, slowly you start manipulating and access to vocabulary. Even if you're playing a game, that's why I picked up this picture, a small game which can be, please keep the vocabulary in front of the child, whatever there, and always have the vocabulary ready for the child across your house, across the school, wherever you have. Keep your vocabulary, your communication system there. Now, auditory feedback, I would look at it like that. Whenever the child is pointing something, you are giving a verbal language to it. You are adding to the input. If even the child points to something, say a toy or a ball, you say you want to play with the ball or you want to throw the ball, something. So the language part is being taken care. Now, continuously the child is listening to that and there is a feedback coming. It would be both. One is getting the input, or if the child is touching onto a voice output device where you have recorded the verbal language, or if you have a speech generating device, the child touches, there is still again a auditory feedback because there is a language coming out. Now again, the second one is it multisensory. The child touches the object or anything, and also listening. So there are things the child is getting more than one feedback and the one sensory. And if we are working at language expansion, we just don't record only ball or bat. It will always be when the child touches on that, or in your speech generating device, or picking up a PEX card, or picking up a toy. We give the entire sentence. So that makes sure that the language, which is the most important thing for communication, start happening. The next most important thing is the natural consequence. Natural consequence is nothing. If I am touching, if I am a child, if I'm touching for something, I need to get it. It can't be that I touch and it is given tomorrow. It doesn't happen like that, particularly for children who are starting to communicate. Once you are doing that and you are a context dependent, or you're becoming an independent communicator, there your things are different. But when you're starting your AAC, make sure the child gets whatever the child is pointing to. So that makes more sense. Okay, this is how I have to communicate, and this is how immediately I get. That is crucial for the child to make sure that the child starts using the communication system more often. Now, the consistent and unique motor patterns, this is something that, as I told before, this is something which we have been noticing for many years. But once this LAMP came, it made more sense to this after this research work. When you create a communication chart, or when you're creating a tangible system or an object or a speech generating system, and you place the vocabulary, do not keep moving the vocabulary here and there. As a special educator, we always do. We put two things and then shuffle it and check. We want to recheck whether the child has done it correctly or not. That is because there is a pattern which the child is learning, the motor pattern, to point out and to get something out of it. Now you keep shuffling. Your evaluation is different from communication. Please keep them separately and do not shuffle the communication, the vocabulary in the sheet or in the the board or whatever you call. Keep it in the same place. It's like our if you have to look at a telephone dictionary, really what, or your a smartphone, where is the icon and you go for that. So don't keep moving it, because there is a pattern in which the child is learning to plan the motor and choose the thing. And always remember to start with the minimum words. Don't clutter too many. If you're introducing 2, then 3, and then 4, let us slowly go, so that the child, whether it's a child with cerebral palsy or a child with autism, never mind, but the motor pattern and the way, whether they're doing it with the eye pointing or with the hand pointing, it doesn't matter. But make sure it is a comfort levels, and slowly you keep increasing. Now, for that is very crucial, because the motivation to use a communication is always depending on your physical effort, your cognitive effort, and the time taken. Because what happens if there is a lot of physical effort the child has to do, or the person who's using an AAC, the motivation level is not there because the skill effort is there. And if the matching is not there at their level, say the person is at a concrete level and we are giving them a, at a formal level of communication with pictures or words, it's not going to match. The child is going to struggle. The person is going to struggle to figure out what to point. That is a cognitive. By the time they do all this figure out, we as communication partners, the time is going on and we just move out of that. So the minute you move out, their motivation levels come down. So that is why it is very important. This by boost breaker, and it's very important. Your motivation to use an AAC becomes, it has to be physically less effortful, cognitively it should be less effortful, and speed. So that is the only thing. The fastest and the easiest mode of communication only will work. You might be having any amount of high-tech devices, but if it is the easiest for the person to use, they will stick to a simple communication, chart or a paper to communicate because it's the easiest mode for them. So choose the easiest mode and work on that. I'm not saying that that means you cannot use the other system. No, but when you're having a conversation, look at it. What is easy for the person to use? What makes the person more participant? So that is where you need to choose a better AAC and work with the team. That is also very important, a team, because as a parent or as a professional, if you're a professional, you might have to work with a physiotherapist or an occupational therapist or a special educator as a team. And as a parent, you need to work with all the three of them to know where your child is standing and to take them. So any AAC, whether it is a picture chart or an object chart or a tangible or any communication, high-tech communication device, the functionality, we should be able to use the AAC across different contexts, different partners, different situations. It should be simple, reliable, and ease of for the person. And the vocabulary, whatever it is, it has to be able to, the purpose has to be there. Now I'm going to move a little faster because we are running out of time. It is just not enough to just select the AAC. You need to also give the child a little bit of skills to operate the communication chart, to strategize. If there is something which is not there, how to be able to communicate, the vocabulary to use, and the social situations. So every time, remember, we need to do modeling with AAC. I really cannot sit there and talk to a child without using an AAC. If I am going to be a partner, I use an AAC, only then the child will use an AAC. So partner with AAC, access to the AAC has to be always there. Manipulate a little bit so that there will be a communication breakdown and the child will be able, child or the person will be using multimodal things to make you understand. I have a small video of how a parent is able to manipulate and get the child to start using.
என்னப்பா தண்ணி வேணுமா? சத்குரு தண்ணி வேணுமா? தண்ணி வேண்டாமா? டிவி போடவா? சத்குருக்கு என்ன வேணும்? நீ என்ன சொல்ற? எனக்கு ஒன்றுமே புரியல சத்குரு. கம்யூனிகேஷன் சார்ட் கொண்டு வரேன், எனக்கு இதில் சொல்லுங்கள், எனக்கு அப்போ தான் புரியும். என்ன சொல்கிறேன்னு எனக்கு புரியல சத்குரு. ஓ, மாடிக்கு போகணுமா? சத்குருக்கு மாடிக்கு போகணுமா? அதான் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கேன் அம்மாட்ட. ஓகேடா, போகலான்னு வாங்க.
So here the mother, even though she understood that he was trying to show towards the window, she made sure that he uses a communication chart. So that sort of it, saying that I don't understand, I'm not able to understand, will help the child to. The next step would be he asking for a chart. Maybe he should have something on his table or something where he points, I need my communication chart. So the levels move and we keep taking the child next to next. Now at the same time, when we are looking at the vocabulary in the communication chart, I told you we are in the verbal mode and all of us speak in a verbal language, but the child has to use a picture or a sight word or or an alphabet to do. Please label things around. It could be with picture or it could be with the word, so that it will become easier for the child to understand and take it forward. Also, you need at one time we'll say expand, make the language, the length of the sentence more as you do. But sometimes, and also you need to know when not to complete. Let the child complete, let the person complete, because the more you're completing, it is easier for them to finish off and they're not going to learn to complete a conversation. Stick to the conversation. Let them have turn taking. Let them, say if there is a wrong and correct themselves. Don't overprotect. Don't give them away for that, because then it becomes, easier, and they are prepared to move to the outside world and communicate as an independent communicator. Same thing, have as many people as possible and as many multiple settings so that they can start communicating. Of course, opportunities, all of us look at many opportunities 24/7, eating from the breakfast to, doing anything. You can have any number of opportunities. A day has so many opportunities we can make the child to communicate, whether it is cooking or, you just have even the table mat can be done into a communication chart. All this will make the child to, get the confidence, perseverance, and the motivation levels go up. One main thing you need to remember is have an access. The child should be able to have an access to AAC, and any form of communication is okay. But from as a communication partner, we need to be having the response time. Wait for the child to communicate. Don't be in a hurry. I know we are always in a hurry and we keep moving forward. People say we don't understand, I don't have a time. That doesn't matter. But as a family, the closest circle for your child, the crucial thing is the response time. It's not that every day you have to wait for 10 minutes for one word to come. It's not correct. But the response, to wait for a decent time for the child to communicate, and train people, as many people as possible to train, because only then there is an opportunity for the child to come. Now, when you look at the demands, a lot of demands are there. Your social rules, your peer, when you're going to an academic place, maybe a mainstream school or your special school, and when you go for an employment, your own social networks, all of them there's a lot of demand that the person has to communicate, has to participate. The demand is there. But what can we do to make this, make our AAC user match to the demand? One, use the AAC all the time. Teach the repairing strategies, how to repair. Don't get panicky, but if I'm not there, how to get help. Follow your social rules. You can't just get in and get out of conversation. Use your technology if it is easy for you to use. So prepare the AAC users for all the times, because in the academics or in the employment, there are certain rules you really cannot, deviate from that. You need to prepare them. Expose your AAC user to different situations, different strangers, and encourage. I always say scaffolding support. When you need support, you give. When you don't need support, you take off. That is called scaffolding. Don't keep on giving support, because there are certain areas the child might do independent. Certain areas you might have to do. If a person is going to a mainstream school, probably in the initial stages, you might have to give her more support. Slowly, when the others are moving, take away your support. So that is how you need to manage it. When you're having a conversation, it's very, very important for the communication partner to understand the person who is using an AAC will not be able to give you eye contact, because they have to look at their communication chart. They have to focus on the conversation and also the AAC chart. It takes time for selecting a message, selecting a symbol. So these are things which a communication partner has to keep in mind, along with co-construction. Any conversation, there should be participation. You cannot keep on saying the other person saying little bit, then it's not conversation. Please speak only to the person and not to the caretaker. That is again the tilting the conversation to side. And there will not be non-verbal cues. Very few people, very few AAC users will be able to vocalize and use a communication system. But many of them, when they are doing it, they may not be able to. It's not rudeness, but it is, unfortunately, that's the way it is. So what we can do as a professional, as a parent, is visibility. Take them around, take your system to the public, let them use it publicly. The more people see that, their attitude changes, the policies change, and more interactions happen. Because unless there is a policy change, we are not able to take the AAC out. It will be used only inside the house or in the special school. That doesn't. You need a person who is using an AAC to do academics, to go for employment, for full participation. For a policy to change, you need the attitude changes. Attitude will change only when you are as a communication partner make it more visible. I have a small video to show, and
orange, red, ini orange dress nih, ini orange dress nih, uठा नहीं है. Okay, then here, lắm thế đó, vậy, okay, yes.
So that is a small video of a context-dependent communicator moving on to becoming an independent communicator. The visibility, whatever it is, whether it's a technology or whether it's a communication chart, take it out, show it in public, ask the person to use it in a natural situation. If you are going shopping, use it. If you are going to restaurant, use it. Wherever you want, please use it. There are many institutions which will make those, communication systems available. So many people create, so many organizations are having that. Go take it and start using it. You can use it by yourself. All you need, I always tell a parent, is have a paper and pencil with you in your handbag. Whatever is the situation, just draw and show it to that. That's more than it. At that point of the time, it is important that the person communicates. Whether it's a concrete or an abstract or a formal, don't worry. Just draw, just write and ask the person, what is it that they want to communicate? That makes a whole lot of a difference. So some best practices for the family or for a professional is age-appropriate communication. Please talk to the person at whatever age they are. Don't talk to them when they are 20-year-old. Talk to them as if you're talking to a 2-year-old. So age-appropriate conversation and communication is important. When you are starting, model, please wait, give as much prompt as needed, and respond correctly. So these are the 4 mantras you need to remember when you're starting a AAC. Thing is, again, many parents, they start an AAC, they start whether it is a low tech or a high tech, and then they say, my child is not doing, and abandon. Do not abandon. It takes time. As I've been telling, we are in a verbal world. Everybody speaks, but you are expecting the child to use or a person to use an AAC. It will take time. If you are patient and you keep doing things in the same manner, the AAC will work. Believe and encourage. Believe in the child and encourage the use of the AAC. Patience. Please wait for the response. Multiple communication opportunities have to be given. It's not like 5 minutes I communicate in the communication session or in the speech session, and other times I'm not using, doesn't work. Be a good communication partner, because one focus we have is to make the person to communicate independently as much as possible, and train as many people as possible. Whoever whom you meet, tell about AAC. Practice, make your child communicate, even if one sentence, one word, that's enough. Because this is a new thing and people have to learn, and these practices have to migrate from one person to another, because there are going to be more and more AAC users. And if they have to be in the society, people have to understand and start using AAC. Yeah, with that,
Thank you so much, Kalpana. I'll go ahead with some of the questions that have been raised first.
yeah.
Just a minute.
The chat box is it?
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh.
Yeah. So somebody has asked, Abhishek, how to drive attention, sitting tolerance amongst the child so that they can listen and communicate.
Yeah. See, as I told you in the first slide, start when they are with something which the child is interested in. Anybody, whether you or me, will be sitting only when we are interested in that. It's the same principle. Start with something the child is interested. Don't drag it for a long time. Start whatever, 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever time they are able to do. Start with that. Take a break. Come back again when you need it to happen. But do not, force things when they are not interested. I think that is the one thing where you will start slowly and increase the tolerance. One is sitting. Sometimes, all of us will think only when the child sits, they might be listening or to, understanding. The child might be getting, if particularly a child with autism, they might be getting the inputs even when they are walking. But when you and also when maybe they will be communicating. But yes, of course, for certain time of the day, you can start with something interesting and make them to sit with the interesting topic.
Okay. Yeah. How can we encourage a child to talk more about their day-to-day needs?
Communication is not just needs. I don't know who has done. So what happens is, particularly if you're having a child who's mobile, who's walking around, the needs anyway the child will go and take. Correct? If you are actually bound in a wheelchair or you are not able to move or having physical capacity is limited, then the chances are they might be asking with the communication chat for the need. A mobile kid, a child who's walking, a person who's walking, probably the needs, the basic needs they might be taking. So go beyond the needs. Talk about more interesting things. Talk about stories. Talk about TV. Talk about things. Actually, the needs are not something which you need to focus AAC on. The need will anyway get done. So beyond the need, go into other opportunities. Don't go need-based communication. Let's not look at much more bigger topics. Talking about a toy, talking about a story, talking about something happening on TV or on a sport or a game. Then only the child is being more interested to communicate, because then he is able to control you and give conversation. That is very crucial. Need-based. Anyway, if your child is walking around, he can go take water, he can go take whatever he wants and all that. That he doesn't have to communicate, because also remember, you and me also do not communicate for our needs. We communicate to express ourselves more. So that is the same with a person who is non-verbal.
Yeah. Padmini says, how do you regulate irrelevant talk?
Yeah. See, what happens is when you're looking at autism, many of the children have what you called as an irrelevant talk. Could be sometimes a thing which they are using to start a conversation with. So that is why when we do the assessment for children with autism, we look at these rigid language patterns or perseverant speech, which they keep using again and again. That could be something which they are trying to get your attention on something. We had one of my student. Every day we used to have a communication session and she used to come, but she definitely has 2-3 words or sentences which she used to say something. Initially we could not figure out, but then when we figured out that is a reference which she is actually giving to a communication which she actually wanted to talk about. She would say about, uncle, 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 she would say. And we thought it is irrelevant in that topic where we were discussing about something, but the uncle was actually about something happening at home that she wanted to say about. And when we went up back and saw, the uncle comes every day for the breakfast session. So she actually wanted to talk about a conversation which was happening on the breakfast table rather than. So look at it. Why is a child having the irrelevant talk? Is there any clue the child is giving to do that? And then we get it. Of course, if there is really something a problem, you can get back to your speech therapist or your team, and then we could work on how to stop and how to give him a space where to stop and where to use the communication system.
Okay, Ramya. Ramya says, for a concrete level communicator with a lot of behaviors like hurting oneself, how do you direct him to choose a picture or object to meet his needs?
Yeah, see, there are two things. Always remember, any behavior is communication. Whether the child is hitting or self-injuring or throwing a tantrum or doing something, the child is trying to say something and which we are not able to understand. Now, when the child is already at a peak of showing that he's angry or you are not able to understand what he wants, don't try and put a communication system there. But when he is calm, start with system, can show, okay, if you want something like this, do this. Keep modeling, keep doing activities where the child knows, okay, I need to pick up this if I want music. I have to pick up this if I want a storybook. Give that as an object you can take, and you can create an activity where you are introducing. For example, you are saying a small a phone or something to play for music and a storybook. Keep introducing, write the words and say, whenever you want music, you do that. And you want to listen to a story, touch this. Immediately play the music, you touch the phone. Or if he has touched the storybook, read the book for him. Only then the connections are made and the child knows, okay, I touch this, I get. I touch this, I get. Not when the child is at a level where he's already the behavior is happening there because you are not understanding. So it is a process, and we have to keep moving at a pace so that the vocabulary is given and the vocabulary is available in his vicinity. You can't introduce and keep it inside the cupboard. Keep the vocabulary outside. When I say vocabulary, object or a picture or a communicate, whatever it is, has to be there right in front of.
Varadrajan says, my child has low vision. Can he use AAC?
Yeah, of course, anybody can use AAC. Vision issues are, as I told you in that slide, where you have, physical limitations or visual limitations. The modifications have to be done. That's it. But AAC is for anybody or everybody who has unclear speech or who has no speech. So please go ahead and use. It will be useful for your child.
Okay. Bhagyashri says, my child can read words and understand these words, but not able to communicate the abstract way. How do we work in this scenario? We are using LAMP.
See, that is the whole thing, the connection. The child, many children with probably autism, they will be able to read. They can read Kalpana, they can read, but they will not be able to do the connection. So where you need to do the connection that is why I did the LAMP. Motivating things, start with it, do the connection, make sure the child understands this is for this word is for this. Keep it as an activity, introduce the vocabulary one after the other, and as the child uses the vocabulary, immediately give whatever the child has asked for, whatever he is touching for. Only then the connections are made. Otherwise, the word is different and the communication is different. We have to bring the link. So start using it and doing the natural consequence, giving him, gratifying him whenever the child is touching that for communication. Make sure whether that, and also the labeling things around, putting that system in place, starting with an activity, asking the child to start using the word, initially you might have to use a little bit of physical prompt to make the child understand touch and pick it up and give if you are using a pegs or if you're touching a communication chart. But slowly only then the connections will happen. Don't just because he's able to read at one level, it may not be that the child understands what he's reading and will be able to communicate. You will have to bring down and start working at that.
Sharada says, my son is verbal and is able to communicate his needs and wants, but refuses to use AAC regularly. We do have conversations about his activities. How do I motivate him to use it?
Start with whatever he's interested, only that's all I can say, because he's already a verbal child for the, I understand he must be a need-based communicator for the needs, but you want a conversations happening, you can, if he's already at an emerging communicator, move him to a context dependent. You can create a communication chart which has all the vocabulary for that particular context. Say if you're talking about a cricket match happening today, you can put the vocabulary of that on the particular communication chart. And as the things are happening, as you are watching TV or as you are doing, you model with AAC and ask him to communicate and give the language expansion so that it will be, the child starts using it beyond the needs.
Right. Padmini says, how do you stop or control echolalia? I think that's possible.
That's again, yeah, you will have to, that's also one of the methods where the child is developmentally learning to speak, but you cannot really stop, but you have strategies, but I don't think this is a platform to explain all the, you can get back to us, I will explain.
Yeah. Savita says, my son has verbal apraxia. He's just started with Avaz app. Can he use AAC in normal school as well?
Yeah, of course, please. Yes, that is why I said, please make it visible, take it out, make the child use. The most, the more they use, the most people will see about it and the awareness is created and they will start using. AAC is definitely a possibility because we have, my own daughter, Bhavna, has finished her graduation. She has done BCom and corporate secretaryship using a communication chart. So there is nothing like policy. As a policy also you have that AAC can be used. So don't have to worry. Please push him to using AAC.
Tripti Goenka says, it's said that it's important to build AAC going forward, because as they grow, accommodating everything into buttons or icons is challenging. How can we build it gradually? Literacy.
That's why, see, don't look at building the AAC. Look at building your child, building the ability of the child. What are the competencies the child has to do, and the AAC has to match with him. Don't have to worry only in putty I have to do. No, if your child is moving from abstract to formal communication, probably the child will be using the words and the alphabets and making us like we have only a limited keyboard. With that we can type everything. So that is how you need. Don't worry about the AAC. Worry about your child and the child's competencies. As you improve the competencies, the AAC, you have a wide variety of AACs and it will match the child's competencies. So don't have to work, don't worry, but you need to gradually work. Take the child from the emergent communicator, look at the vocabulary. Right now he's using 50, make it into 100, then 150. And as they grow, you also have to give a combination. There will be some pictures, there will be some words, there will be an alphabet access there, and encourage the child to start spelling. So that is how you can take the child forward. So don't have to worry. Any AAC will, you can move it forward.
Yeah, Atul Gupta says, my son is 4 years old. We're using Avaz app for him. How can we make sure he uses iPad most of the time, considering he's only 4 years old?
Don't have to. When I said AAC, I'm not only saying about one app or one Avaz. I'm sorry. You can use total communications. What we need to look at a 4-year-old, because you need to encourage him to vocalize. Just remember him. I might be having a very good communication system, but if I'm falling or something is happening, my vocalization is the one which is going to get me people to help me out. So encourage your child to vocalize, encourage your child to use objects, pictures, signing, gesture, total communication encourage. Don't have to be that you need to use only this all the time, does not work at all. And when a 4-year-old is doing more of a play, learning so many things, learning, exploring and learning things. So you need to encourage many more modes of communication than giving one app. So don't stick to an app, stick to many types, because the app will be your, language wise, it will be taking you to the next level. But the exposure, the opportunities, even when you're having a breakfast at the, on the table with your child, using your bread and butter and jam, you can communicate. Let the child use them to communicate with you. He doesn't have to, switch on the app and say, I want more jam, or the jam is red in color, nothing like that. Please use total communication. Use anything and everything available in front of you to communicate.
Right. Sheetal says, my son keeps saying advertisement taglines the whole day. How can I reduce or use it for building conversations?
Yeah, I think that also, like the ukulele, I think that you need to have a different platform to make sure how to, restrict and increase the communication. Probably your speech therapist, if you are going to, will help you. Otherwise, please take my number. You can get back to me. I will help you.
Shanti says, will AAC shut down the opportunity for future verbal communication?
No, never has it happened, because actually it will increase. Because if you just imagine, if we have a child who is struggling, who has only 5 words or 10 words or 15 spoken vocabulary, or not even having that vocabulary and trying to communicate, and we are in the verbal word, we are going on giving everything verbally, and the child is not able to communicate back because of not being able to, not having a verbal mode, the child is going to become passive and not able to communicate. Rather, give him something like that. The conversation will be more opportunities for the child to communicate, the more it will come. Speech is something, if it's going to come, it will come. It is not going to be just because I'm using an AAC, speech will not come. It will come whenever it is going to come. So there's no connection, or it is just a myth that everybody thinks if I use an AAC, the speech will come down. It only increases the speech, because the increased number of conversations, increased number of opportunities, increased number of vocabularies will only increase the language of the child, and the more they will be able to communicate.
For example, when my son starts crying, we do guesswork, maybe pain somewhere or hungry or missing someone. Then how to use AAC to make him express the correct reason?
Yeah, I don't know how old is your son. The crying is a very basic informal way of communication. All children cry, and from there moving them to a level of, using a gesture or a communication system, a concrete system or an abstract system has to happen, not when the child is crying. Start when the child is calm, when the child is playing, when the child is ready to learn. That is why I said readiness to learn. There you start, and then you. By the time you know the child is going to cry, or why will anybody cry? Only when they are frustrated that you are not able to understand, the cry will come. I'm assuming your child is around, 4 years or 5 years old. He might be having so many frustrations of not able to communicate. So start giving them, keep the things available for him to communicate, and don't let the child go till the end where, really you don't. There might be situations where you are not, pardon?
He's 10 years old, I think.
10 years. So 10-year-old, so many experiences of 10 years he had had. So many things he would have learned. Why is a child of a 10-year-old is crying? Because he's not able to communicate. You are not able to understand what he's trying to do. So teach him in a normal way how you are going to do. Keep everything available. And when he's crying, instead of guessing, keep those things, take those things in front of him. Say if he's at an object, keep that in front of him, asking whatever you want, you touch it. You take what you want. then it is rather than guessing, you are bringing that focus to concrete things or the pictures or whatever. That could be an easier way to move than guessing and giving him something, and that is not what the child wants.
Yeah, Purnima says, my daughter is autistic, and she doesn't show any interest in anything. She is non-verbal, and we would like to know how to make her show interest.
How
I
old
think she's
is
already
she?
answered that, right?
Yeah, like to know.
How-
Start, I don't know the age, but I think if your child is around 5, whatever the age, start with what your child is interested. The child is interested in music, start there. Child is interested in dance, start there. Child is interested in playing with a glue, start there, or sand. Wherever the interest is, start there.
I
That
think
is the
she's
only-
saying there's no interest. She's saying she doesn't show interest in anything.
There must be somewhere, something the child is listening to music or doing something. There cannot be some, or playing with something or stemming themselves or doing something, showing something, flapping or something. Start with that. There cannot be something where the child is not doing anything. There will be something which we have not. So observe the child carefully. You will find what the child is doing repeated. That from there you start the communicate.
Okay. Gomati says child can imitate or tell words. So does he need AAC, or can we practice by telling or conversing and giving choices that he answers?
So what is the age? Yeah, imitating and telling words. That means he is picking up the verbal language. You can use AAC for building language. When you're saying a story, not that all the words he's able to do. What I understand is you say something, the child is repeating, like an echolalic speech, but whether he's able to retrieve the word later, you need to figure that out. I feel that when you say something, you want dosa, you might say dosa. If that is a stage, you probably have to use a communication chart. But if he's able to say the words by himself later, start to balance between both. Tilt more towards the speech. Definitely the speech is coming in.
Purnima says, my daughter is non-verbal, autistic of 8 years and doesn't show interest. Okay, I think that's what you've already answered.
That's we have already.
So it helps verbal. Okay. Can you please show Veda Priya? Can you please tell me how you taught your daughter, which method applied? So I will follow your method. My son is 13 years and non-verbal.
Yeah, okay. Each child is different and each experience is different. My daughter is, of course, non-verbal and cerebral palsy. Her condition is. So I don't know whether your child has cerebral palsy. My only mantra when she was my first child and I was around 21 when I had my child. The only mantra my doctor gave is talk to her. Keep talking to her. That is the only thing I did. Talk. The language was the foundation for her because the storybooks, the amount of things which we get, it's not only me, the entire family, a lot of people, grandmother, grandfather, brother, siblings, everybody spoke. The language is the basic for her. That is where her foundation is. So I think it's not teaching AAC for her, I would say. Her language developed much faster than the board because she has a lot of physical limitations, and to use a mode to write an exam, go to a college took a longer time. And it's also very limited people can do because she is an eye pointing person. So it's a lot of, lot of limitations. Only the technology part has given her the freedom to do, and now she's running a magazine by herself. But I truly feel that it's a language. Making her a part of conversation, giving the respect to whatever she wants to communicate. That is what is the basis for anybody's communication, not only my child, any child, any person. Me, you, all of us learned like that. If your mother or my mother did not give us an opportunity to talk, we wouldn't have. So it's an equal, participation at all levels. That is the basic. Use. Whatever the method is, verbal or non-verbal, by using an AAC or not, a gesture or a sign, keep using, practice makes the best of it. That's how they also learn.
Yeah. Anupama says, my daughter is 8 years old. She gets distracted very often and more interested in teething or biting the AAC sheet. How can I help her?
Yeah, one is distraction, because if you're sitting in a place where there's a lot of clutter, a TV going on, or people walking in, it will be a lot of distraction. Try facing the child towards a wall, and you are sitting and the wall is there behind you. The child either sees you or the wall. That would prevent the distraction if you are having a session like talking to each other. Try and remove the clutter, try and remove things which are going to distract. Now, the next one is biting or teething the AAC. Yes, could be there would be a sensory need. Please look at it. Ask your occupational therapist if there is any sensory need that she's able to chew. Do that, give her a chewy tube or something and use this. Second, please make sure that you use that for the natural consequence. The child touches and you are giving something. Immediately the child knows that this is something which I use for communication, not for teething. So go to an OT. Please make sure a lot of clutter is removed from you, and have a concentrated. Long sessions are not needed, small things. And check out whether there is any other mouthing thing your OT should be able to help you on.
Yeah, Chandrika Goyal says, my daughter is 12 years old with hearing loss and Down syndrome. How can AAC be useful?
Okay, is she going to a hearing impaired school? I hope she is, because then the strategies will be different. Maybe wearing a hearing aid and using a signing, where you have put her and what is the stream she's going through, that would be the different thing. Of course, AAC is definitely useful because of Down syndrome. You can use the pictures and you can see. Here, what happens is whatever you're speaking, also you have to touch. Your 100% modeling has to happen for that, because of the hearing loss, she is not getting the verbal input from us. So probably you will have to have a chart. You have to touch, and so what you are saying, only then she can respond to. So that is both the ways you need to use a chart.
Dr. Arshia says, my daughter gets confused with many icons on Aavas. What is the minimum number of choices to start with?
The minute you say your daughter is getting confused, that means it is on a higher level. Reduce, minimum 2 to 3 is enough. 2, what happens is 50% chances are that the child is doing on a, keep 3 pictures per screen, then slowly increase later.
Purnima Ravi says, my daughter is 8 years old, non-verbal. We have introduced her to Aavas, but she's not interested to use it. But she's interested to use it and for watching videos in YouTube. How to make her interested in Aavas?
So look at the level of communication she is at, whether she's at a concrete level or an abstract or formal. Just watching movie or thing doesn't say that she's understanding pictures or anything, because any video or any movie, there is an audio, there is a movement. So the child is immersed into that and follows. How much they are following, we don't know. So go into that. What is it that maybe she is looking at a concrete level and communicating. Do that simple check. Is the communication better with the concrete item or with a picture or with a formal level? Look at it. What is she understanding when you speak is also very important. So control that. Cut your sentence length. Use something in your hand and show it to her. Is she interested in that? Is she focusing on what you're saying? That means that if you're having an object and saying, do you want to have an apple, say holding an apple and saying, and then she reaches out, probably you will understand, okay, she's looking at an object in my hand and making sense. That means she's at a concrete level. So picture at that level. So that is how you need to take one step at a time and start using. If you have an Aavas and she's watching, let her watch, but start parallelly working at that so that you can match it later to your Aavas.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've really run out of time.
Yeah.
So, I think she's answered almost all the questions. More or less, the rest of them are a repeat. So I think we'll conclude this today's session today. And I request you to please answer this poll, which will pop up on your screen now. So please do answer this. How likely are you to recommend this webinar on a scale of 1 to 10? So please do answer this so that we will know your responses. And at the end, as soon as we end the session, there'll be a survey that will pop up. So please do take the survey to give us feedback about what you liked about the session and how we can improve it further. Please take the poll so that we can end the poll and then end the session as well. So Kalpana, many thanks from everyone. There's been great responses on the chat window. You can take a look as well.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Yeah, it's really my pleasure to be there here. And whatever I know, if I can, share that and do share it with someone else, that's how AAC will move forward. So having a great time. Anybody wants my number, please share with them and they can get back to me.
Okay. What's your number? Can you just share it? I'll type it out.
I'll type it out or
yeah. You can tell me, I'll type it out.
Yeah, 9444.
Yeah.
220986.
9444 220986. Yeah.
Yeah. They can WhatsApp me and I can get in touch.
Okay. Anyone else to complete the poll, please? Because I'm going to close that. Waiting. Okay, I'm closing the poll and we are ending the session. So thank you so much everyone for joining us and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Same day, same time.
All the best, Lalita.
Thank you.
Bye.
All the best. Thank you so much, Kalpana. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's been a great session. Always something to learn.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. All the best.
Bye.